Look, Georgetown gave Carolina a nice push for a little bit, but the Tar Heels are just too big.
This is Tyler Zeller, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Sunday, December 7th, 2025. Welcome into this live postcast edition of the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I am your host, Isaac Schade. You've joined me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Network, now the #1 sports podcast network out there. Thanks so much for making us your first listen or watch right after the game to get all the breakdown, all the takeaways, all that great stuff. Special shout out to all you everydayers who are here with us and introducing our brand new Everydayers Club. You're going to hear more about that this week on the show. Also, welcome into our Locked On Tar Heels Discord members and our insiders as well. This episode, Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Help. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. North Carolina polishes off an 81-61 victory over Georgetown. Nice 20-point spread. Could have been more. Carolina was basically able to shut it down with like 3 minutes to go. And it was like just whatever, blah basketball after that. A nice way to end it. My pregame prediction was Carolina by 15, 85-70, so pretty close, but I gave G-Town a little too much credit there. Carolina now 8-1 on the season with just 4 more non-conference games to go. As a reminder, this is only a quad 3 win. Georgetown is too low in the net rankings to make it quad 1 or quad 2 with it being a home game. Pre-game, Carolina was 25th at KenPom, 38th in offensive efficiency, 30th at defensive. They have now moved up to 22nd overall. The offense drops a little bit to 41st, but the defense climbs 10 spots to number 20, and we'll talk about why in just a second. As a reminder, Georgetown led this series all-time 5-4, so it's now tied 5-5, which is nice opportunity to make up for that loss in the Elite Eight back in 2007. Boy, that was gross. All of that said, it's time for a party. I love it. I love it. I love it. So here's where we're going in this live for those of you who might be new to our post games. We're going to talk big picture. We're going to talk small picture. We'll get to your comments over in the comments section. So if you got questions, go ahead and drop them in there. I'll get to as many as possible, and ones I don't, I'll try to get to on our Monday show. So we got to start with nowhere other than the front court. I mean, good. Carolina is just so big, and others can't. There have not been teams to match up with it. And how often have we said it? What a great change of pace that is from last season when it was like, hello, everybody that's much bigger than us. That's not Carolina anymore. And funny enough, it was against a guy that for a little bit last summer, 2024, we thought might be a Tar Heel, Julius Halifanoa. But unfortunately, he is a Hoya. Carolina got him into some foul trouble early in the second half. Double-doubles for both Caleb Wilson and Henry Veesaar. For Caleb, it's his 6th double-double in his first 9 games as a Tar Heel. It's his 3rd 20-10 double-double on the season. Crazy stuff there. For Henry Veesaar, it is his 5th double-double in 9 games. A career high in rebounds for Henry Veesaar. His previous high was 13. That was against St. Bonaventure. So Caleb goes for 20 and 14. His previous high in rebounds was 14. So he ties his career high in rebounds. As for Veesaar, he gets 18 and 15. So another game where Carolina, both of these guys almost go 20 and 15 or 20 and 10, but they both, one of them falls just short. Last time it was Caleb Wilson. This time, Henry Veesaar. One of these days, both of these guys are going to get 20 and 10 double doubles, and it's going to be bonkers. But what I love is that it's not just about the scoring. It's not just about the rebounding. You look at what these guys did in totality. For Henry Veesaar, he had 3 assists, 2 turnovers. He had 3 blocks in this game for North Carolina. Of their 4, they had 4 total, and he had 3 of them. Caleb had the other one. Caleb, interestingly, only had 1 assist, but I thought a lot of that was because of Georgetown's relentless double teams on him. And Caleb just was a willing passer. And so, and it was funny because Corey Alexander said it on the call. There ain't a lot of time. I'm like, oh boy. But I did agree with this from Corey Alexander that there were so many hockey assists from Caleb Wilson where he swung it and Carolina wisely continued to move the basketball. And all told, Carolina has another nice assist day where they're over 50% in assist percentage, 15 assists on 29 made field goals. And that's exactly what you want to see, getting over 15% there. But to the point of those double teams, I thought, because Georgetown double teamed both Caleb and Henry throughout this game, and I thought both of them moved the ball well. There was a time or two, like when I feel like it was early second half, Caleb attacked a double team with a jump shot, but it was because I can't remember if it was Malik Mack or KJ Lewis got switched onto him, but he just had all that size advantage. And so of course he attacked it. So I thought that not only did these guys score and rebound well, but they navigated the double teams well, making quick, decisive decisions. And that's how you have to handle those double teams. That's what I want to see. Let's move then to the defense, because I don't know that yet Carolina's defense has gotten enough shine this season. We've started to talk about it. We talked preseason about how this could be the best defense of the Hubert Davis era. And right now they're doing that, keep in mind, without Seth Trimble. He played 2 games. Carolina has played 9, and the defense is still doing very well. You may or may not have realized this, so here's a little nugget from Uncle Isaac to you. North Carolina has not allowed a single opponent to score 75 points this season. And it's kind of getting better and better right now. If you look at, oh man, it's going away here. Stand by just a second. Sorry. All the games Carolina has played. Let me get to their game log is what I'm trying to find, but it's giving me a bunch of stuff. Yes. In each of the last 2 games, Carolina has held their opponent under 65 points. Kentucky just 64, although we know Kentucky's in a bit of some shambles right now. But then Georgetown today, 61. And so that's really, really encouraging. The defense is doing well. And I was comfortable with the first half, Carolina holding Georgetown to, 39 points. But then in the second half, you ready for this? Georgetown scores just 22 points in the second half of this basketball game. And in the second half, they shot 22% from the floor, 7, not 17, not 7D, 7% from 3, 1 of 14. Yikes. North Carolina defense, again, without Seth Trimble, is doing that kind of stuff. And yet again, good grief. We say this every game right now, but you saw once again with Georgetown's strength being in their backcourt with KJ Lewis and Malik Mack, Seth Trimble sitting over there again could have mitigated a lot of that, which I believe KJ Lewis is probably the leading scorer for Georgetown in this game. Yeah, 17. And Halifanoa had a nice day inside, but it was KJ Lewis that was the best player on the floor, I thought, for Georgetown. But Carolina held him to 2 of 7 from the field and 0 of 3 from 3 in the second half. So that's what you want to do. Really nice job by Carolina's defense once again coming through. Now, we talked about those front court players, but the groundswell of noise around Derrick Dixon and what he's bringing to this team continues to be strong. And one of the wonders to me is always, okay, you had this nice little sort of kind of a breakout in the last game against Kentucky where you had those 5 points in the last minute of the game, the step back 3, the game-winning layup, all of that. How do you follow it up? That's the key question. Because one of the other big storylines between the Kentucky game and now was, will we see a changing of the guard? Will we see Derrick Dixon inserted as the starting point guard in place of Kyan Evans? I didn't think it was time to do that. And more importantly, I didn't think Hubert Davis would think it was time to do that. And he didn't. But when Derrick Dixon came in, boy, did he continue to help Carolina in a big way. Career high 14 points on this game on a wildly efficient 5 of 7 shooting, including 3 3-pointers. He was 3 of 5 from beyond the arc. A couple of those were off great ball movement, and he was the beneficiary of them, but he got to knock them down, and he did. 3 of Carolina's 9 threes. Also contributed 3 rebounds and perhaps more importantly, 3 assists and just 1 turnover in this basketball game. That's what you need from Derrick Dixon. And he had 27 minutes. That's probably another career high for him on 19, a plus or minus. He had plus 19 in this game. And so, unfortunately, I think this means then that the groundswell for moving Derrick Dixon into the starting lineup is only going to grow louder. And it's funny because then shifting the conversation to Kyan Evans, the way this game started, I thought we were going to see a high-level Kyan Evans game. He had 5 of Carolina's first 7 points and had, in totality in the first half, 7 points on 3 of 5 shooting, but he didn't score again and only took 1 more shot in the second half, played 11 minutes in the second half, played just 10 minutes, in the first half. And the issue for Kyan Evans in this game was foul trouble. Got 2 first half fouls and had to go to the bench, missed a lot of the rest of the first half, and then picked up his 4th foul. I forget how much time left. It's in my notes, but I can go back and revisit it later. And so again, Derrick Dixon got more of the lion's share of those minutes. And now you've got a week off before USC Upstate next Saturday, which, by the way, let me go ahead and start putting these plugs in now. I'll remind you throughout the week. There will not be a live postgame after the USC Upstate. My family's taking a family trip down to Disney World. Yes, even I got to get, I grind and I go hard, but even I got to step away sometimes. So we won't be there after that, but we'll continue to watch that. Will there be a changing? I don't know. But Derrick Dixon continues to force Hubert Davis that he's going to have to play him more and more. And that's great in terms of bench production. And that's what you need to see. So whether Derrick Dixon starts or comes off the bench, the more important storyline is that he's contributing in a big, big way for the Tar Heels. And that's what we want to see. Really good stuff there. All right, one of the storylines I've been watching for, in fact, one of the Four Corners preview points for this game was Carolina's free throw shooting, which had to get better. And for a while in this game, it was, until it wasn't. We will look at that and a few other stats and Carolina's handling of Georgetown's zone and pressure, all coming up here in just a second. Right after I tell you about our friends at Game Time. You guys, the World Cup's coming back to North America for the first time since 1994, and it'll have 48 teams in it for the first time ever. And so it's going to be massive. But let's be honest, getting tickets to events like this is going to be the hard part. The world is going to descend on our country, and that's why the Game Time app comes in clutch for you, finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Game Time, you can track price drops in real time. You can get alerts when great seats open, and you can buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It actually puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. You just pull up the app, and the layout makes it really easy to scroll through matchups and compare seat views. You pick a game, you tap a section, and you have your tickets locked in within minutes. No confusion, no hunting for the fine print. So take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets and every match, every concert, every event with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Look ahead, that USC Upstate game, that's coming up. You've got a couple of the ETSU game the Tuesday after that, and then in a couple Saturdays, the CBS Sports Classic down in Atlanta against Ohio State. That's Carolina's last power conference opponent of non-con play. You want to get there. So again, download the app, make an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Terms apply. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Game Time. Okay, as we come back together, I'm going to pull up the box score for us to be able to look at together. For those of you who are watching in real time, if you're listening back to this later, first off, what's up to you guys? So glad you're here. And you can find the box score on my Twitter feed or elsewhere to follow along. I also want to thank you for making Locked On Tar Heels your first listen after the game. And thanks for making the Locked On Network now the #1 sports podcast network out there. Okay, free throws. This has become something of a storyline for this season. And I had said Carolina, and in particular, honestly, Luka Bogovac had to start getting after it. And Carolina did the work in the first half and the beginning of the second half. Carolina was 8 of 8 from the free throw line in the second half and had a 4 for 4 start in the second half. And then it all came unraveled after that weird tripping situation where I think it was Malik Mack tripped Derrick Dixon. They didn't catch it in real time. Henry Veesaar is losing his mind. And finally, Ron Groover, from over by the Carolina bench, the other corner of the court, finally stopped play to review it. They do, but Derrick Dixon steps to the line, and it's the first free throw miss of the game for Carolina. So they made their first 12, missed their 13th. The problem is, from that point forward, Carolina took 9 more free throws and missed a lot of them. 7, you guys. They start 12 for 12, and then they miss 7 of their final 9 to finish 14 of 21. They started 12 of 12 and finished 14 of 21. You had a miss from Dixon, 2 from Powell, 3 from Veesaar, and then the Luka Bogovac. And I get it. It's a game that, quite honestly, by that point was kind of already getting out of hand. Carolina was in double figures, which, by the way, good on the Tar Heels for just continuing to put the throttle down in this basketball game. Love it, until they got that 20-point lead, and that was it. But still, it's got to grow, and it's got to be better. 14 of 21 is literally 66.7%. The next stat question I want to get to is 3-point shooting, because this has been an area where Carolina not only has not shot great from beyond the arc, but has taken too many of them. I feel like I'm beating a horse to death, or beating a dead horse. There we go. The Tar Heels, where is your best advantage? We started the show with it. You're too big for everybody else. Your biggest advantage is the dudes that are walking double-doubles, Henry Veesaar and Caleb Wilson. And yet, for some unknown reason, I feel like I'm banging my head against a wall. I'm literally banging my head against my fist. The Tar Heels insist on jacking up 87 threes a game. We're not Alabama. Utilize your front court advantage. What are we doing? Now, Carolina in particular, shot poorly from beyond the arc in the first half. 4 of 15, 26.7%. And then they come out in the second half, and they start shooting them better and finish 5 of 13. But if we're being honest, the last 2 or 3 of those were just Carolina chucking to like the last couple possessions. They're just taking the air out of the ball and then throwing it up. So chalk those out. And in the second half, Carolina shot much better, 5 of 10. They finished 5 of 13, 38.5% in the second half. So all told for the game, Carolina is 9 of 28, 32%. 28 is way too many for this team to take. Again, I want them living in the 15 to 20 range and taking the advantage of the front court. Now, I recognize there are going to be times this season when teams like Georgetown are going to double team you. And if Veesaar and Wilson do the job of swinging the ball and Carolina moves it around the perimeter quickly, you're going to be able to find those open threes. But my issue is, if you're not hitting them, and Carolina as a team really isn't right now, what you need to actually do is attack the closeouts, get to the rim, and do it. For this game, you had a nice variety of Tar Heels that hit a 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different Heels hit a 3, including Veesaar going 2 of 3. We said earlier, Derrick Dixon 3 of 5. But at some point, yes, I'm going to have to just recognize, all right, these guys are just going to settle for threes all season long, and that's going to be what it is. But I'm going to continue to ring the bell, get the ball inside and attack and use your biggest advantage. Please, oh please, I beg you, Tar Heels. Turnovers, let's go there. North Carolina, second time this season being in single digits in turnovers, 9 total for the game, 5 in the first half, 4 in the second half. Really nice. I still thought there was a couple sloppy ones that they could have cut down on. But again, anytime you're getting under double digits, that's fine. The other game, again, funnily enough, was Michigan State, where they were single digits on their turnovers. As a team, it's funny because you had Evans, Wilson, Veesaar each had 2, Bogovac had 2, and the other one was Derrick Dixon. And so nobody was egregious with it. It just, I thought watching the game, there would be a higher number than it ended up being. And once again, Carolina was much better in the second half, I thought, with ball taking care of the ball than they were in the first half. But in the same breath as saying you could clean it up a little, here's what I will say. One of the things that I thought Georgetown was really trying to do to Carolina in this game was speed them up, using a lot of full court press. And Carolina, against the press, I thought was really good. I haven't gone back to watch how many turnovers they had against the press, but I honestly don't really remember any. I thought they worked the ball really well. They've got a lot of trustworthy ball handlers. Heck, I didn't get this. Georgetown's trying to press when both Derrick Dixon and Kyan Evans are in the game. That doesn't make any sense to me if I'm Ed Cooley, but okay, thank you. We'll take it. And multiple times, Carolina not only handled it well, but was able to break it into getting baskets. Now, obviously, Georgetown got some of what they wanted off of that because Carolina wasn't able to initiate offense until there was 22 seconds left. And at that point, you've shaved a third of the shot clock off. So they win in that regard, but they didn't force turnovers. And that's what they were trying to do. And that is a win. Now, obviously, Georgetown, we talked about on Friday's preview show, is one of the best, most elite teams in the nation at not turning the ball over. And they proved that true again. I believe they finished with 4 total turnovers for the game. And so that means I'm curious to see points off turnovers. Oh, Carolina fought back. It was 6-0 at halftime. The finish was 8-6. So Carolina won the second half 6-2 in points off turnovers. That's a pleasant change. And so way to go, Tar Heels. The other defensive thing I want to talk about that Georgetown was trying to do was they went into a zone late first half to try to goad the Tar Heels into taking threes. And the second thing they're trying to do was protect their foul trouble because Carolina was really aggressive. That's another thing the front court did. Caleb Wilson, once again, had more than 5 fouls drawn in this game. I think it was 6 or 7 in totality. I haven't looked at that in the final box score yet. But Carolina settled the first 2 possessions of that zone for Georgetown, and they took threes. They didn't try to get the ball into the center because for those unfamiliar, what you're trying to do against the zone, honestly, whether it's 2-3 or 1-3-1, is actually, I take that back. Different against 1-3-1. 1-3-1, you want to have a guy run it, all that. But against the 2-3, you want to get the ball to the middle of the zone or against any zone. That's where your soft spot is. And Carolina settled, but then they became aggressive to do that. One of the nice things with both Wilson and Veesaar is they are such willing and capable passers that any team that zones Carolina, yes, they might protect themselves. Yes, they might force Carolina into some threes, but Carolina should be able to attack by getting either of those guys with their size and passing capability to the free throw line. The other big, stay down, run behind everything, and then you can go high, low, and you got some great action going. And I thought Carolina did that well after that initial, I don't know what you guys are doing there. And so really, really, really good with that thing. And so ultimately, great job, Carolina, I thought, against the zone, continuing to press it, right? Like they finished with 81 points and could have had Carolina, if they'd kept the gas down, could have gotten the 90, but there was just no need in this game. So really good stuff there. Now, the last thing I want to say before we take another break and then get to your questions and observations, and we'll expand on this more either on Monday or probably Tuesday show is when I think I'll do it more. But let's rewind the tape to the beginning of Feast Week, the beginning of Thanksgiving week, when Carolina had St. Bonaventure, Michigan State, Kentucky, and Georgetown. And we said, I termed it Carolina's 4-game season-defining stretch. And I know that it's not like a crazy stretch like it was last Feast Week when you had to go. You started with Dayton at Maui, then you had Auburn, and then Michigan State, and then Alabama as part of the ACC SEC towns. It wasn't quite to that caliber, obviously, but you still had a bunch of tough games that if you weren't bringing it, Carolina could have lost any of these 4 games. But instead, they go 3-1 in those games. And now you're sitting here at 8-1, heading into a portion of the schedule where you have 3 more bye games left, essentially USC Upstate, ETSU, then Ohio State. I'm not counting that one, obviously, in the bye games. And then East Carolina to round out non-con play. Those 3 games, you should win all of them. And that means all you've got from maybe you lose this game is Ohio State. So Carolina has done just about what you need them to do through the first 9 games of the season in terms of wins and losses. Is there more to work on? Absolutely there is. But let me also remind us all of this. Not only did Carolina go 3-1 in this stretch, they did it without Seth Trimble playing a single minute of basketball. And yes, I would like them to look better. Yes, the offense could be more effective. But good grief, you're 9-1 with Seth Trimble on the bench for 7 of those games. If you're not satisfied What is going on? And there's a difference between complacent and satisfaction. You know what I mean? But Carolina's 8-1. We'll take that. And you could have won the one game you lost against Michigan State. You had a lead in that thing. More to grow on, but man, got to feel good at 3-1 with no Seth in the stretch. Okay, I want to get to your comments, questions, and we'll look at all of that coming up to wrap the show, coming up here in just a second. Right after I tell you about Omaha Steaks, how the holidays come with two big goals: feeding people well and finding gifts that they're actually going to love. And guess what? If you want to kill two birds with one stone, Omaha Steaks will take care of that for you. From hosting to gifting, Omaha Steaks delivers the world's best steak experience right to your door. Because during their Sizzle All the Way sale, you can stock up and save in a huge way. You ready for this? 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. And it gets even better. Locked on Tar Heels listeners get an extra $35 off with code COLLEGE at checkout. How about this? This is pretty cool. My wife and I literally yesterday got an Omaha steak box from my in-laws, and we have already made plans to use the filet mignon that we got in that box on Christmas Eve. I cannot wait. I can taste it now. We'll come home from the Christmas Eve service and we'll get after it. The box showed up frozen. It's packed beautifully. It's going to be ready to cook. I can't wait. They've got great options: fillets, burgers, comfort meals, sides, desserts. You can't build a box any better than that. Holiday magic made easy. Order by 6 p.m. on any given day, and it ships that day. You can save big on gourmet foods from holiday favorites with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com again for 50% off site-wide during the Sizzle All the Way sale and an extra $35 off using promo code COLLEGE at checkout. Terms apply. You can see the site for details. Once again, that's omahasteaks.com, code COLLEGE. All right, we're going to leave the box score up as we get to the back end of the show today. Oh, baby. Derek Pereira says, big UNC fan from Belize. Shouts to you in Belize, Derek. Glad you are with us. He said Evans is not as strong with the ball. How many turnovers were attributed to him? Talked about it earlier, but he had 2. But he did have 4 assists. We didn't mention that in this game. And so, yeah, there are times when I'd like to see Kyan be a bit stronger with the basketball. He's still kind of learning that as a position for him, and we'll see what happens with it as he continues to progress. Mark Schrader, and I agree with this, says, did what we needed to do. Yeah, if 81-61 is did what we needed to do against a high major opponent in Georgetown who's on the come up and wanting to be better and trying, quite frankly, they were trying to muck this game up. They wanted to see Ed Cooley's team, is Carolina tough enough? We've said multiple times this season, and this was another moment to prove it, that this is not a wine and cheese Carolina team. They're going to go out, and while they might not be big, hefty, bulky dudes, they get after it, and they do it. I love that. Derek Tyson, our guy Derek, says, Isaac, do you think this can be a Final Four/championship team without a true backup big? This is a great question, Derek. I'll say 2 things. Number one, it depends on what the Tar Heels decide to do rotation-wise once Seth Trimble is back. Because one of the things, for all those of you who were with us last week on the show when I talked about this some, is if it's Jaren Stevenson that goes to the bench and Luka moves to the 3 and when Seth comes back, then you can bring Jaren Stevenson at the 4 or the 5, and then you have that backup big. And again, maybe that's not a true backup big, but in my mind, and for my money's worth, that's better than what Zayden High's bringing. Whether that is Veesaar on the bench, you move either Jaren's at the 5 or Caleb's at the 5, the other at the 4. I like that better, quite frankly, than putting Zayden. And obviously, Zayden needs to play some minutes. It's just not feasible for Jaren, Henry, and Caleb to handle all of it. But again, if Jaren is coming off the bench, then he's got those fresh legs, and that's even more depth than you previously have. So I think that's a thing. And then, Derek, as you well know, but I'm still going to say it, so much of it is going to be matchup dependent. Let's face it, we're in a day and an age where Carolina is going to be able to get by 9 games out of 10 with what they've got right now. But what happens when either you face somebody a little heftier, like a Keba Keita, who isn't massive, but dude is crazy built and thick and athletic. from BYU, as a reminder. And he had a nice game against Carolina. What happens when Veesaar gets into some foul trouble? Which he's done a great job staying away from that. Let me applaud him for that. And we'll find out. And so, Derrick, I think all things considered in this modern age, and again, depending on what Carolina does rotation-wise once Seth is back, why not? You know what I mean? I think that's an absolutely potential thing that could happen. All right, let's keep on looking through what we've got here. Forgive me, y'all, for coming right back to Derrick, but he says, Dixon might have the smoothest jump shot I've seen since Wayne Ellington. This is interesting. I haven't stopped to process. Man, Wayne, can we just Wayne Ellington? What a beautiful jump. What about Cam Johnson with the height on it? Like the repeatability of it. But yeah, Derrick's looks so good. And you can see him. Here's another thing I'll say about Derrick Dixon is he's growing in confidence. And that's critically important with him. And with Seth, in fact, Nintendo says this just a couple comments later, Derrick Dixon has really stepped up in Surf's. I'm just saying what Nintendo said there. In Seth's absence, and I couldn't be happier. I think that's a critical thing there, is that you've got to have guys step up. And when dudes fall out, this is one of the silver lining possibilities we talked about, is you develop more depth. I forget where I saw this, but somebody asked me over the weekend, like we talked about Derrick Dixon, and somebody said, without Seth's injury, does Derrick even get this much time? And that's a great question, and maybe not. And that's critically important. So I think that the biggest silver lining of Seth's injury is Derrick Dixon coming along more quickly than we anticipated. I would say possibly yes. Also, it looks like we got an Arizona fan in the comments. Bring it on. Yes, Arizona's incredible right now. Thank you for that, which is kind of hilarious. And maybe you're here because it was two former Wildcats squaring off in KJ Lewis and Henry Veesaar. Henry Veesaar gets the best of that matchup. Oh, yeah, definitely an Arizona fan. Later, he says Krivas is better than Veesaar. All right, nice. Vuk6931. What's up, Vuk? Who's always saying, why is that version of my YouTube name showing up? At Vuk. I'll give you that. Says, good win. Putting the Hoyas away makes me feel a lot better about our win at Kentucky. Shows it wasn't just because they had internal bleeding, but because we are playing strong and can hit shots. I love that you brought this up, Vuk, because a lot of people over the weekend, oh, man, it was inevitable. So in case you didn't see it, Carolina wins very tight game at Rupp on Tuesday. And then Gonzaga absolutely blew the doors off Kentucky in Nashville on Friday night. I mean, it was so ugly. And so inevitably, so many people said, oh man, that makes the Carolina win look weak and whatever. And it's like, you guys, you can't, just so many things. That was at Rupp. That was just the transit of property, different games, different teams, different lineups, different personnel, all of that. And so I'm so glad to come out and win this game by 20 and just say, look, stop it. Carolina won the basketball game. That's what matters. And Kentucky's going to get healthy and it's going to be better in whatever. So I'm with you, Vuk. I love this to say, let's validate that Kentucky win a little bit. Nintendo says, whatever Jaren can provide on offense is a plus, but I really don't need a whole lot from him because he's locked in on defense. Somewhat Leaky Black vibes from him, only taller and better offensively. I'm with you, Nintendo. I've compared what Jaren brings to this team similar to Leaky multiple times this season already, and I wholeheartedly agree with you that anything offensively like that three he made is a plus. Gosh, if Jaren hit, he's got so many open looks at threes he gets. If he could hit 35% of them, my goodness, those wing threes, those corner threes, he's getting the looks. Eventually, hopefully they start falling, and I would love to see it. But yeah, he does his early work similar to Leaky. He is a little bit taller than Leaky. Remember, Leaky's massive, you guys. But then he's not as athletic as Leaky. I think that's, if I could push back on Nintendo a little bit there, Connor, I would say Leaky brought more athleticism than Jaren does, but Jaren brings more shooting than Leaky did and some of those things. So yeah, icing on the cake, anything Jaren can bring to the table there is really good news for the Tar Heels. And I forgot to say when I was talking about Derrick Dixon, he also had some really nice defensive moments in this game where it wasn't about a block or a steal, just staying big, getting verticality, staying in front of guards. How important is that? And how often have we seen Carolina guards not be able to stay in front of opposing guards? So I really liked that Derrick Dixon was able to do a couple times in this game. All right. I know we've got several more comments, several more questions in the chat, and we'll get to those. I promise you I'll scroll through them after I get done with this so that we can eventually get them for our Monday show, or even if I want to push them into Tuesday or Wednesday, because again, we don't have a game until Saturday. And so lots of great stuff. Coach Rob is going to be with me on the Wednesday show. That'll be fun as well. So I want to thank all of you for being in here with us live immediately following Carolina's 81-61 win over Georgetown. Again, Carolina moves to 8-1 on the season. Really, really good stuff. Exiting this toughest stretch of the non-conference schedule. 4 more games in non-con before Carolina eventually gets to their 18-game ACC slate. Going to be so fun. We're looking at a real world where Carolina could be 12-1 when they get to that moment. If you haven't subscribed to Locked On Tar Heels on video and audio, do it right now so you don't miss a second. On YouTube, just hit it, subscribe right down there in the corner. If you haven't joined our Discord, that link is in the show notes. It's such a fun place to be. It's crazy and lots of great Carolina fans. It's a safe place to be a Tar Heel fan. We guard that so carefully and would love for you to come in and feel safe as part of it. Also, as a reminder, I'd mentioned it off the top, we have a brand new thing called the Everydayers Club where you get all sorts of perks. Check out the link in the show notes. It might be an opportunity for you to connect with Locked On Tar Heels or any of your favorite Locked On shows at a new and deep way. All right, guys, it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll get together again on the full Monday show, but until then, peace.